assignment, we will be making a timeline mapping your interactions with the learner. Think about the first time you come in touch with your learner till your last interaction. For example, your first interaction could be when you mobilize students for the course, and the last one could be till the time they get placed, or even after that, depending on the system you follow. We will be mapping these events on a timeline. Each event will comprise of 3 essential components. What was the touch point with the student? What was the strategy used? And what was the information you got to know about the student? Here are some examples of events you can chart on the timeline. Scenario 1. The first touch point with a student could be a pre-course counseling session. The strategy used here would be a one-on-one interview. Through this strategy, you may be able to gain an understanding of why the student wants to do the particular course, the student's academic background, interests, aspirations, and commitment. Scenario 2. For this event, let's take up the scenario where the student is absent from class. In order to understand the reason for the student's absence, you could have an informal interaction with his peers. This may enable you to gain an insight into the student's personal life, like what is the family situation, what are the kind of challenges he or she might be facing. Scenario 3. You could also get to know the student better by observing him work on a task in the classroom. This can be marked as your touch point with the student. The strategy used would be classroom observation. This could help you gain a better understanding of the student's strengths, weaknesses, approach towards work, interaction with peers. Now, let's plot these 3 events on the timeline.
These were some examples on the kind of things you can put on the timeline. Now think of all the interactions with your learner, the kind of information you get to know about them, and develop a complete timeline mapping as many different events to it.
Once you've mapped the timeline, go back to all the student information that you have been collecting since the beginning of the module. Look at both of them together and write a 750 or more words essay answering the following questions. How has your understanding of your learner evolved over the course of the module? What is some of the information you changed about your learner as we progress through the module, and why? How helpful was it for you to know all this information about your learner? What are some of the changes you brought in your practice based on the information you learned about your learner? Mention any challenges you have about gathering these inputs about your learner. What would you want to do about these challenges?